Scooby-Doo se estrenó en junio de 2002 y se dice que originalmente Mike Myers, a quien conocemos por interpretar a Austin Powers o hacer la voz de Shrek, coescribiría el guión junto a Jay Cogan en 1997, así como también se postularía para el papel de Shaggy tras la baja de Jim Carrey para dicho personaje. Está bueno remarcar que si bien quienes éramos niños en el momento que se estrenó la película no lo registrábamos tanto, 3 de los actores que forman parte de la pandilla venían de actuar en películas de terror icónicas como Matthew Lillard en Scream, Freddie Prinze Jr. y Sarah Michelle Gellar en I Know What You Did Last Summer. Mientras que Linda Cardellini ya estaba posicionada tras su trabajo en Freaks and Geeks como Lindsay y en Legally Blonde como Chutney.
These characters are cowards. You don't want them on your team ever because you would definitely be killed and lose. However, for some reason we pull for them the whole time.
Al igual que Scream, Scooby-Doo combina el terror con la comedia en un sentido mucho más ATP, obviamente. Y James Gunn, guionista de esta película y director de la saga Guardians of Galaxy, dice haberse inspirado en el film Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein a la hora de escribir el guión, que tenía un tono mucho más adulto donde se veía reflejada esta combinación de géneros. A través de algunos comentarios en internet por parte de Gunn y Lillard, nos enteraríamos que en la versión original del guión, Shaggy era explícitamente un fumapó, cosa que se insinúa en una de las escenas iniciales, lo cual explicaría por qué siempre están de bajón con Scooby, o en el nombre de su interés amoroso interpretado por Isla Fisher.
I'm Mary Jane.
Like, that is my favorite name.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
Get a close-up.
Get a close-up
A
of
man and his leading lady.
Escenas eliminadas como el beso entre Daphne y Vilma para poder recuperar sus almas o la confirmación de la bisexualidad de Fred serían otras de las escenas que quedarían fuera del film, luego de que en una proyección privada para probar cómo reaccionaba la audiencia, varios padres se quejaran por las escenas elevadas de tono, así como también redujeron los escotes de las chicas de la pandilla en postproducción.
I feel like the world wants to see it, but there was a great line too where I'll never forget. We were having a fight, Daphne and Fred, and then I yell at him, "And that ascot makes you look gay," and I slam the door, and they cut that too.
Esta es la primera vez en la franquicia que Daphne y Fred se muestran como pareja y hasta el día de hoy los actores siguen casados en la vida real. En el guión inicial, Vilma era explícitamente lesbiana, pero la producción fue suavizando cada vez más ese aspecto del personaje.
You sort of get a behind-the-scenes glimpse of what the characters might be like and sort of all the things that are alluded to as you get older, and as a young adult you realize them might have been hinted at in Scooby-Doo.
La frutilla del postre vendría la secuela cuando Seth Green interpretaría a su interés amoroso. Shaggy y Vilma están siempre atravesados por sus muletillas, onomatopeya icons.
I find like there's key words that will get me into character.
Definitely.
So every day I wake up, I put my costume on and kind of go through the zoinks. Man, oh man, Scoob. Dude, like, what are you doing?
Y luego de hacer las dos películas, Matthew Lillard continúa haciendo la voz de Shaggy en el dibujito hasta el día de hoy.
Originally, I would scream myself hoarse. So I'd be like, dude, zoinks, because your voice was so screwed up. It's Warner Brothers on a Saturday morning, and I'm the only one there, and I'm in my car, and I've got my hand on the steering wheel, and I'm screaming, ah! Ah! Like trying to ruin my voice. The director walks by and goes, you okay, dude? So if you take your voice and go from the bass of your voice to the falsetto, oh, there's that little crack. Like that's where it lives.
And that little was the hardest thing to figure out.
Y en la película Looney Tunes Back in Action tiene una discusión con su versión animada al respecto.
What kind of performance do you call that? You made me sound like a total space cadet, man.
I'm sorry you feel the way. I was trying to be real to your character.
If you like goof on me in the sequel, I'm coming after you.
Yeah, and I'll give you a Scooby smack.
La voz de Scooby está a cargo de Neil Fanning.
I was a Scooby fan from when I grew up, and it's just something that I've always enjoyed doing.
I love you, Raggy. Ruby-dooby-doo.
Scooby's going to have any number of expressions. You have to build a muscle structure in his face so you can animate the intent of the shot and put Scooby in that mood and in turn communicate that with the audience.
And the challenges clearly are interacting, reacting, speaking with something that physically isn't there.
We'll always say, you know, where do you see Scooby right now? And what face do you think he's making?
It's just me in an empty chair.
Scooby snack.
Fortunately, they have this like head on a stick. They do like these camera things so they can see where he is. So now I really try to focus on where they were with that. Like if I'm looking at you, it's right here, but if I'm looking past you, like mine looks different. And if there's nothing there, it looks like you're looking at something really, really, really far away.
And action.
We were able to create the interaction with an actor who has a great imagination. You can see it when Matthew works on the set.
On our chase, Scooby seen something to tip him off about what Mary Jane may actually or actually may not be.
They sort of come to fisticuffs.
That was for sure the most challenging moment of the film.
I think for me the big breakthrough in finding out where I wanted to go with Scooby-Doo was making the choice to make the monsters real.
Fred's whole theory is it's always a man in a mask, because if you watch Scooby-Doo, it's always a a man in a mask.
The challenge in the scenes with monsters was to get the actors to believe that they're actually being picked up by a 12-foot monster. We had to physically pick them up, and we had to show them references of what they were looking at, give them eye lines.
Scary.
Y la peli fue dirigida por Raja Gosnell, quien había sido el montajista de Home Alone 1 y 2 y director de Home Alone 3 y Never Been Kissed. Así como a partir de The New Scooby-Doo Movies, personajes como Sherry Sonny, Steve Buscemi o Batman y Robin realizaron cameos en el show, o los actores de Supernatural se meten en el dibujito. En la película contamos con la presencia de Pamela Anderson en la escena inicial.
Well, I have a really difficult role. I play Pamela Anderson, so I'm trying really hard. It's a stretch. Huge Scooby-Doo fan. Huge. My kids will be excited.
Importante que miren el documental de Pamela en Netflix. El papel del villano Emil Mondavarius está a cargo del gran Rowan Atkinson, Mr. Bean para todos nosotros, cuya resolución final de estar encerrado en un pozo me recuerda un poco a la de Ojo Loco Moody en Harry Potter y el Cáliz de Fuego.
He's a comic genius, which is pretty much unarguable. And to have him in the film is just, I think he's hysterical.
Es imposible negar la influencia de Buffy la Cazavampiros en el personaje de Daphne que encarna a SMG, quien estaba trabajando en ambos proyectos en simultáneo, específicamente en las habilidades que tiene el personaje a la hora de luchar contra los villanos. No olvidemos mencionar que la pandilla de Buffy se autoproclamaba los Scoobies o los Scooby Gang.
The style we have gone for combines fist and kick fighting with quite difficult wire work.
My first week I got down here, I was thrown right into a harness. Hey! You learn to really rely on signals and hand signals and these things, and it makes you realize that there is sort of this general language of filmmaking that everybody understands. Sorry, Sam. And it's been an incredibly physical role in incredibly high boots.
Jennifer Aniston, Isla Fisher y Jennifer Love Hewitt habían sido consideradas para el papel previamente y el vestuario estuvo a cargo de Lisa Evans.
Those boots were a copy of a pair of Louboutins that we loved but did not come in Daphne purple and were custom made to match the original Louboutin. And I think they had purple undersoles also as an homage to the original shoe, but those costumes were epic.
Entre las escenas eliminadas podemos mencionar la intro de la peli, que constaba de una secuencia animada de los personajes, así como la visualización de lo que cada miembro hizo durante los años en los que la pandilla estuvo separada.
Any questions?
Why do you suck? Oh!
Yeah.
Who dyes your hair?
When did you first experience these feelings of low self-esteem?
For a long time, I was part of a group where I didn't get the attention I deserved.
Which group was it?
Mystery Inc.
Wow! Fred Jones.
And that giant dog. Oh, and remember Daphne? She was so hot.
I don't remember a Thelma.
My opponent is my insecurity. My strength is my resolve. My opponent is my insecurity. My strength is my resolve. Oh! My butt is stuck in the tree. Oh boy.
Mi escena eliminada favorita es en la que vemos a Vilma cantando borracha Can't Take My Eyes Off You en el bar del hotel, en la que no se entiende si se la dedica a Daphne o a Fred.
Can't take my eyes off of you. You be like heaven to touch. Oh God, I wanna hold you so much. At long last, love has arrived, and I thank God I'm alive. You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. Da 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 da. I love you, baby, and if it's quite alright, I need you, baby.
La película se filmó durante 6 semanas en el parque temático de Warner Bros. Movie World, Tangaluma Island Resort, así como varios sets fueron creados en estudio a cargo de Bill Bowes, quien originalmente iba a trabajar con Gosnell en Los Cuatro Fantásticos, peli que se pospone por el estreno de X-Men y da lugar al proyecto de Scooby, en el cual el director vuelve a convocarlo.
25 sets, 25 locations.
I mean, it's everything you could ever imagine coming out of the cartoon to put on film.
La arquitectura de esta peli siempre fue algo que me fascinó, que por alguna razón más acordar al Bajo San Isidro, Perú Beach, Rocket Power, modo tribal, todo eso junto, y la pirámide de la cual Daphne roba el Demon Ritus solo me hace pensar en Haller de las Spice.
I just really studied the architecture, and every time they went into a new environment, there was a whole color. Like one room would be completely green, the next room would be completely blue.
This set basically took about 4 months
to actually construct.
Y esta película marcaría el final de una era en la que la dupla creadora de Scooby, Hanna-Barbera, dejaría de estar involucrada en la franquicia tras la muerte de William Hanna en 2001. Si querés saber más sobre cultura pop, puedes escuchar mi podcast En la Zona en Spotify y Apple Podcast.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo.